So welcome to another video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And welcome to our extremely late August monthly debrief, brought to you by Noble Knight Games, a great sponsor of ours, but more from them later.
And really fantastic people.
Yes.
They're good people.
Yes, they are.
We met Jess
Wonderful.
online. Very nice person.
Yes.
So thanks, Jess.
Appreciate everything that they do for us. Again, more from them a little bit later on. It's like September 9th when we're recording this.
That's actually not bad.
No, but
That's not
it's
bad.
not great.
You said really extremely late, and I'm
No,
like,
because by the time this posts, it'll be 2 days later, and that's like basically
it'll
the
be
middle
like
of September.
Monday. Yeah. Right. That's not uncommon.
No. August was an extremely intense month of gaming,
It was a game-o-rama.
which is funny because when I was first thinking about it, I'm like, man, we barely played anything.
You're crazy.
But I could not be more wrong about
Yeah,
that.
we played so much.
We have played an unconscionable amount of games.
And not only did we play a lot of games, but we went to Gen Con, so...
Yeah, so Gen Con's very first weekend, right?
Yes.
Of August. So where we bought a lot of games.
Yeah, it was... Wasn't that like the first or second through the third or fourth, whatever it was?
Something like that. I think
Yeah.
it was the 4th through the 6th or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
But that was great. Gen Con was just awesome.
It's
always is.
It's always good, yeah.
It was...
I've never had a bad experience at Gen Con.
No.
I mean, this time it was way more crowded than it was last year.
Yeah.
I thought last year was our best year just because there was nobody there.
Well, and they pushed it back into late September,
Yeah.
so it was
not as hot.
quite so hot, which was nice.
Yeah.
So that was fun, but it was nice going there, meeting some great people, picking up some games, found some very cool bits and pieces. There's the whole Gen Con debrief.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched that, go and check that out. We'll talk about some of the things that we bought and some of the things that we went back and purchased.
Yeah. And also, we talked about some of the people we met, you know, Candace, Ignacy
From Portal Games.
Portal Games,
David Thompson was there.
David
as well.
Thompson, Cole Worley we saw
Yeah.
and was there. We met Matt Shoemaker, one of the designers of the Red Burnous, that's on the table, and we played it, but that'll be September. Yeah, just it was a great time. We always have a good time.
Yes.
We bought way too much. We spent a lot of time thinking and doing our games,
Yeah.
and had a good time.
I had a blast. It was great.
And it really set the month off in a good direction.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
And so the rest of the month was filled up with some pretty intense gaming, I would say.
yeah. And not just wargaming. We actually played a lot of games with family.
Yes.
We played a couple of prototype games.
Yeah, a couple of things that are coming up or
Yeah.
on Kickstarter or will be at some point.
Actually, I think we did that almost 2 weekends in a row, which was a little bit disconcerting.
Yes.
I don't like doing that.
No.
One, I don't like playing games that aren't finished. I'm going to be frankly honest. And two, we have other games to play.
Yeah, we have lots of finished games.
I mean,
The prototypes
anyway,
are
we did
something-
it.
yeah.
I think we're
a
going to
good whole thing.
stop doing as much of that.
Yeah, it's because they can be very fun and enjoyable and exciting, but they can also be a total
lot.
drag.
Or a lot of work.
Yeah, which is like
Yeah, I mean-
cool. That's fine. Nothing wrong with putting in that kind of effort. But we also have reams and reams and stacks of games that are fully published and finished.
Yeah.
That's like we're not doing those ones.
Yeah.
So
So I think we have decided
yeah,
we're going to, unfortunately, and I hate this about doing what we do, there are times you just have to say no. Either we're not interested,
but
I hate to say that, but
sometimes it's that. More often than
It's
not,
just, I don't have the time.
It's a time thing.
Yeah.
it's a time thing, and it's like it's just
yeah, and you got to get, I mean, playing these games that are prototypes are a lot of work. You already mentioned that, but the rules aren't always finished.
the components
it can
aren't
be
what
a-
they will be.
Yeah, it
and
can
so
just
you're
be
like,
work.
so yeah,
And we don't want this to feel like work.
No, we do this for fun,
Yeah.
and
So I bring that up because I think we're going to do less of those. I really think we're going to be a lot more choosy
yeah,
and just probably not do as many. So, but yeah, along the lines that you were going, we played a lot of games.
we did. So
really
let's
think we did.
let's talk about some of the games that we did play.
Okay.
Chronologically speaking,
I don't even know if I can do that.
probably not, based
Well-
on the stacks that we've got kicking around here.
I know we started off with non-war games.
Yes.
So I'll go ahead and, because this was kind of part of of Gen Con, right? It was the week after Gen Con. We had bought some of these games.
Yes. Here, let
and
me
we
get this out of the way for you.
We decided to play them.
What?
What are you doing? What are you doing?
So,
Yeah.
this is Dune
Here, you hold that.
Imperium, the Rise of Ix expansion.
This game is awesome.
Yes. So you bought this at Gen Con.
Yes.
And
I bought this at Gen Con and ordered this online.
yes, because they were out of these at the
Yeah.
time. This is a worker placement game,
Deck building.
deck building, area control, a little bit of fighting and stuff in it.
That
Awesome.
feels like the world of Dune, right?
Yeah.
It feels like that universe.
What are they called? The little cards. Intrigue cards.
Intrigue cards.
The intrigue cards make this game.
Oh, they're
They,
amazing.
They do so many things that break all the rules
Mm-hmm.
and just screw people over, basically.
and they just do things that are non-conventional,
Yes.
too.
But every single one, when you have one, you're like, ooh, I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm going to make this happen. And when you do those things, it feels real Dune.
Yes.
And that's awesome. It's so fun.
A lot of those were intrigue based, right? You're trying to get people to don't fight in this war. Dreadnoughts, go home.
Yeah, or
That was awesome.
I sabotage you, or I make a secret deal with the Emperor to give me this
Yep.
extra little thing, which gives me a leg up over you, and
Yeah.
I get the victory point that you were sitting on. Just bits like
Yeah,
that.
and not only that, but it was the most interesting game that I've played in a long time that wasn't a war game. We played this, and we learned the rules from scratch that night. None of us had done any research.
And frankly, wasn't that complicated
No.
or that difficult to learn.
I thought we got it together pretty quickly. We played it. We played it with our father-in-law and brother-in-law, and they loved it. I thought even our father-in-law really liked
Yeah,
it. I think he struggled a little
He
with
enjoyed it. He was maybe a bit more overwhelmed because it's a lot of symbology in
It
that
is.
game.
Yep. And my room can be dark. My playroom, I think, is too dark. I
And he
need
didn't have
better
his
lighting.
magnifying glass. And
Yeah.
that's unfortunate.
But a great game.
Yes.
I'd love to play this again. And the Rise of Ix really changes the base game by adding nothing but very cool stuff.
Yeah, it just adds an extra little board,
Technology.
and some cool stuff, new races, couple of new
Yeah.
cards. And
Such a great
I was
game.
told there's no reason you would ever not play with it immediately out of the box or
Yeah.
ever play without it. And I feel like that's the case.
I just had a really great experience with this. This is a game that I plan on playing again in the future.
Yes. So that same evening, we played Eschaton,
Yes.
which is a game we bought at
Last year's Gen Con.
last year's Gen Con. It had sat on the shelf for a year, and I felt a little bit guilty about. But this is also
It's tasty.
this is like a deck building dudes on a map game. But it is the end of the world, and each of you are a different cult, and you are cultists trying to win the favor of the Dark One and be the most evil when the world ends. It is.
But it's not like evil type game. It's you're trying to enslave people and take over the world.
But like,
and
it's just
Yeah.
dudes on a map. That's all it is.
Yeah,
But the
it's
cards,
so cool.
like the card artwork and stuff,
Oh, yeah.
you can like you're getting all these D&D demons and devils.
Yep.
And, different things, and they give you bonuses, or you sacrifice guys on the altar for victory points.
Yeah.
Like it's a really fun game.
And I thought the best part of this game was the graphic design in it was just utterly fantastic.
Yes,
A
it's
lot of grayscale,
very grimdark. Yeah.
blacks and grays and light grays and
So make sure you got the lights on.
but then you've got these bright colored orange and blue and yellow cubes.
Yes.
And it just really popped, looked great, was fun, played fairly quickly.
And we also played with the expansion of this in it as well.
We
which
did.
was, I don't know what it's called, but it was.
What did it even add?
That adds the paladin, like the good guy faction.
Yes.
There's an AI that comes in and tries to mess
defeat
you.
you.
Up. It added
Very cool.
Some other cards and bits and pieces. Oh, that added all the unique
That was what was.
heralds and stuff,
Yes.
which you definitely should get.
Yeah.
It's definitely good. So yeah, that
It was a solid game that was interesting.
and I am a horror fan. I think the theme was fun.
Yes.
I enjoy that. This is the kind of game that I loved before we ever started doing this blog and
Yeah.
got into like wargaming. I like dudes on a map, messing
Yep.
each other over, killing each other with a good core, mechanic in it. With it looks great. This was right up my alley. I love it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had a great time. We did those both in the same night. I think we started at 4.
Yeah.
I think you guys left like almost at midnight. So it was
It was a
a
late
full
one.
8 hours worth of gaming. Had a great time there. What else did we play?
So we played this bad boy.
Oh, this was a good game.
This is from Chris Van Beurden and Compass Games. Barbarians at the Gates. This is big,
So good.
big CDG about the fall of Rome.
Well, and we talked about this as we were playing and in the video review that we did. This game does exactly what it says, right?
Yes.
Barbarians at the gates.
There's a big line of barbarians, and they're coming for
They're
you.
coming across the Danube. They're coming down Britannia. They're coming up from Egypt and from North Africa. It's not pretty for the Romans. The Romans are simply trying to survive, right?
Yes.
Hold on to the empire as long as they can. And it's just a blast. I played the Romans. You played the barbarians. There's a lot of gotcha mechanics. There's usurpers.
Yeah.
There's the ability for the Romans to coerce or bribe large stacks of barbarians to go ahead and settle here in Francia and stop fighting us and we'll pay you.
Yes.
And you lost a big stack of armies and it's fun.
Yes.
I thought it was unmitigated fun and I thought it felt like a real war game.
Yes.
Had a cool CRT, lots of combat. I really
Fighting
enjoyed it.
all the time in this one, yeah.
I just thought it was so good. And Chris is a new designer. I think this is his second game. His first was Europe in Turmoil,
which is excellent.
Twilight Struggle type World War I game. But I think he's got the card-driven mechanic down. I think he knows what he's doing. And this one really is good. It works really well.
Yeah.
I loved this game. Graphically, it was beautiful. Fun to play. We played it all after, I think we played 5 or 6 hours. And isn't it like a 10 turn? And I think we got through turn 8 and you were like, okay.
Yeah,
I concede because you couldn't get the points you needed.
I didn't have enough time the way you accrue points to swing it. So yes. But yeah, that was
Great
a big game, fun game, enjoyable.
Well, and I think the art is fantastic. Shane Logan, who designed Old School Tactical, did the art. Some people complain that this isn't that period Roman centurion. I don't know that. I'm not that much of a historian, but I think it looks good.
I don't care.
It was fun. I really enjoyed that game.
That was a good one. I played this game.
We bought that at Gen Con.
At Gen Con, yeah. Catapult Feud. Technically, we also played it at Gen Con.
We did.
For like 2 seconds. I play this. This is a very silly, fun game that I play with my son, and he absolutely loves it and asks me to play all the time.
I'm glad.
It was a big,
I
big
knew he would
smash
like
hit.
it. I knew he would like it.
This is literally, you have blocks, and you have to build a fort, and you have 5 dudes that you have to line up, and then you have a catapult with
little rubber
elastic
balls.
bands and rubber balls, and you have to knock each other over.
Have you used the cards?
No.
Okay, because we didn't use the cards.
No, that's like, the quick play is just line them up and knock them down. There's like card play, and there's little dice that you can roll and things like that, but we haven't got that quite yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of a silly, fun, light game to play with your family. Big hit.
Well, when I saw it on the table, it reminded me of a game from my youth called Crossbows and Catapults.
Yes.
Which was a similar style game. You had a ballista and a couple of catapults, and you were trying to defeat your foe's armies. My brother and I loved it. We played it until all the rubber bands broke, and you couldn't get the strong rubber bands so you had to have like 6 rubber bands on it, and it just didn't work the same. But I'm glad we got that, and
Yes.
I'm glad Koos
That's been a big
enjoyed
hit.
it.
That's been a big hit.
So what else did we play? Before we get into the games that we played separately on our own, one of the prototypes we did play, this was actually on the last Friday of August.
Yes.
Also by Chris Van Beurden,
Funny,
who did
yeah.
Barbarians at the Gates. This is called Sparta, Struggle for Greece.
It's called Sparta!
Sparta! Yeah, there's an exclamation point. Thank you for saying it correctly. This is from Plague Island Games. This currently is on Kickstarter as of September the 12th, so I don't know when the video is going to go up.
If it's not very soon, it'll be on Kickstarter.
Excellent game, card-driven game. A lot about assembling your allies.
Yes.
And countries that can provide you what you need to then go out, siege, do naval invasions, and area control, right? That's what the game is about.
And more than any other of the Peloponnesian war games that I've played, this was very transparent about that, about
Yeah.
building your kind of your league of allies, and you have to do it, otherwise you will lose.
Yeah.
And it incentivizes you to do it, and is upfront about why you want to do it.
Yeah.
And that was something that I really liked, because I felt like it was like, oh, here's why I'm doing this thing that I've been doing in all the other games, but it's kind of like, why am I doing that?
Yeah, yeah.
It was very much like, hey,
Yeah.
if you befriend these guys, they give you money and troops.
Well, like Sicily, every game I've ever played, Sicily provides a lot of grain, right? And grain leads to money, and you can pay for your troops. So
Yeah.
the same thing happens there. Crete gave you mercenaries, and so you had to go around and try to get those, but you can't just influence them or move your troops in and take them over. You've got to have a card that says go and send an envoy
Yeah.
and influence those. So it is very dependent upon that. Lots of these CDGs we play, there's always a standard rule. Oh, you can discard a card and place an influence or something. This had nothing like that.
No, it's very strict with the cards.
Yeah, so I thought that was a refreshing take on it. I thought it worked very well. Love the combat in this because the little card system was pretty cool. Diceless combat.
Yeah.
You basically were adding up the difference between your army strength, my army strength, and then it got modified by battle cards. Oh, I play this and I kill one of your guys. Oh, you lost 2 strength because of that. Ha 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 ha. Or, oh, I add 2 to my guys. And
Yeah.
very cool. Loved it. We played it for about 4 or 5 hours. I think we played one of the smaller scenarios, right? I'm trying to remember what it was called.
Yeah, so we played...
I think it was the first Peloponnesian War.
Yes, and we
So it
played
was
that whole scenario.
Athens and Greece. There were no... I mean, you have to go out and try to get Syracuse and Sicily and
But there's the second...
where you throw in Thebes.
But yeah, it's the Theban War.
Yeah.
And so it's not Athens, it's Thebes, and it's Thebes versus Sparta. It's like
Yeah.
and they give you different boards for that stuff. Yeah, that was a very enjoyable afternoon gaming as well.
We did a preview on this. It's up on the YouTube channel,
Yes.
but it kicks off on the 12th.
Yes.
I really like this game. I think the more I've thought about it after you left and we cleaned it up, I thought the leaders were really good. Really loved the fact that they could be improved by winning, right?
And
not dying.
Based on their 2 minutes to midnight, this will probably end up being an extremely well-produced game.
Well, I thought the prototype was really
Yes.
extremely well produced. So really enjoyed it. Check it out on Kickstarter. I think Plague Island Games is doing some good stuff, and I think they're a company on the rise. You dropped my game, I dropped your dice
It's fine.
tray. I'm
It's fine.
sorry.
It
You
happens.
might have to glue it back.
I needed to anyway. So, is that everything?
well, I think
okay.
now the games we've played
Just individually,
on
sure.
ourselves
So,
solo.
I played Mrs. Thatcher's War.
We bought this one at
Picked this
WBC.
up at WBC. This is a Ben Madison design from White Dog Games, Solitaire game on the Falklands, and it's specifically on like the ground war. There is kind of air naval stuff as well.
So you don't have Harriers that you're...
No, you do.
You do,
You
okay.
do, and it is important. You do have to use those.
Okay.
But whereas something like where there is Discord, it's like this is an air naval game.
Got it.
That happens to have a little
bit of
landing at
ground.
the end. Whereas this is like you're doing that so that you can prosecute the ground war.
Yeah.
This was very, very good. This might actually supplant where there is Discord in my collection.
Well, it's smaller too, right?
Smaller, a little bit more polished,
Yeah.
and available. That's also a big part of this. Very, very good. I highly rate this game.
Well, and I love those games by R. Ben Madison. He's done a lot of them with White Dog Games. They're all very fun. I just played, in fact, one of the ones I played, Kaiserkrieg,
Yes.
which is literally World War I, Kaiser Wilhelm II. Kaiserkrieg is literally like Emperor's War, right? Isn't that what it is in German?
Yes.
Kaiserkrieg. Anyway, fantastic States of Siege series game, but it's not the normal States of Siege series game where tracks are converging on a central point. The map,
Nor is there a deck of cards, I believe.
there is no deck of cards. There are chits that you pull. Fantastic. But the map literally has 6 countries, and they're the countries you know, Belgium, France, Italy, Serbia, Lithuania, and Ukraine. And if they ever build up 6 units, they're going to attack you. So it's akin to a marker moving down a track 5 or 6 spaces, getting into the center, and then attacking you. They come over the top. You have to try to survive that. If you don't, the game's over. Long game, though. This is about a 2.5 hour game. There's 28 turns. I'm in the middle of a game. I'm on turn 21.
Is this box empty?
I'm sorry.
Is this box
This box
empty?
is empty because it's still set up on my table. I will finish it this weekend, and then I probably will play it again and probably do a video because it's just fantastic. If you've played Jeff Davis, I know you have not, from White Dog, similar style, uses the chits, works out really well. So I've been playing this for the past month or couple of weeks, and really look forward to finishing it and doing some video stuff on it.
A couple games that I played earlier in August is Lawrence of Arabia and Heroes of Telemark.
Didn't you buy those at WBC?
Yes, I did. So
Because you have a problem.
making good use of our horrible spending habits. But at least I'm playing them.
Yeah, that's the important
That's what I
part.
tell myself. Also, so
These were like $15, right?
yeah, 50 bucks a piece, and I shot reviews of both of these.
Oh, good.
That's coming in the future, and you know how we kind of like show the board and how it works. These games are so short, and I did so badly at them that I just did a whole playthrough of them. Like, it would just end horribly. I was like,
Nice.
this doesn't help anyone learn. So these are really neat. This is the Solitaire, what's called the Raider system that Decision Games has.
I played Merrill's Marauders
Yes.
in that system, really enjoyed it.
And there's a few other ones out there, and there's like old ones which are like out of print. There's a LRDG one which I'd love to play, but you just can't get it anymore.
I have Rogers Rangers, which is the American Revolution. I just haven't played it. It's
Yeah.
on my shelf. I need to play it.
These are very light, fairly simple, kind of basic games. The rules are like 2 pages, and it's the kind of game that you slip into your suitcase when you go on a business trip and
Yeah.
you play in your hotel room, you know, instead of watching the news, I guess.
Right.
Like
Well, you
this-
can have the news on in the background.
Yeah, like this.
And play this.
They're really neat, brutally difficult at times.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
it's
very fun.
yeah, little.
They have little cards.
Oh
You have little units.
yes, and I bought little card sleeves for mine because
You have a problem.
you have to shuffle them so many
Yeah.
times that you just
Yeah.
batter them.
I think my copy of Merrill's Marauders is literally Swiss cheese because I played it like 15 times.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
you lose so quickly, and the
Yeah.
only thing you have to do is like shuffle your cards because
Right.
you lost by moving one counter. You put the counter back in. Oh, shuffle.
Boy, you're really bad at these. I don't know
Oh.
that I ever lost on the first move.
Lawrence of Arabia was crushingly difficult. If you pulled 6 enemies, you're like, oh, I'll just let me just set this up again. So yeah, I played both of these. Had a fun little time. It's something that you check out. Just it's a light game. It's not going to occupy.
And I
your
bet
game
there's
session.
30 of those. They have all types.
There's a good
Types
number
of
of those. Those are very enjoyable.
One other game that I played and shot a full 2.5 hour playthrough
Yeah, you did.
in 4 different segments of videos.
That's on the blog. You should watch that.
Yeah, and did an unboxing. I need to go back and kind of do a review, but you had mentioned you were going to play, and maybe we'd do a cooperative
Yeah,
review.
because we've done that for a couple of them. I'd love to. I have a
it's-
copy. I want to
it's
play
awesome.
it. It looks unbelievable. This is one of the nicest looking games that's come out in recent years.
I mean, as far as a war game and a solitaire war game goes, this is hands down the nicest map I've ever seen.
Because it's
No
done
doubt.
by Niels Johansson. If you don't know his work, where have you been?
Yep.
Get out from under your rock. Beautiful artwork.
Yep.
He's got a great style, and it just makes it so much fun to play with when you've got it out.
Yep, I will say I wasn't really a fan of the cover. That's the only part of the package I'm not sure that I love. But when you look at that map, it's unreal.
The card
It is
artwork, the
it's
counter
unreal.
artwork, the map, you're just like,
Yep.
I'm immediately there.
But this is Volume 4 in the Valiant Defense series. I've played all 4 of them. I shot playthroughs for all of them and video reviews. This one might just supplant Pavlov's House as my favorite. It is a blast. Very hard, very challenging.
That's what you want.
I love it. He has streamlined the system, changed up the way you refresh guys, so it's very different than the others, but feels the same. Also has thrown in a lot of unique historical aspects. There's some barbed wire, there's machine guns that you can pepper, you've got artillery you can call in, you've got radio intel you can get, all in an effort to score a better score so that you win this part of the Battle of the Bulge. So, love this game. I'm working on a series of action point posts But yeah, full playthrough, 2.5 hours, all 4 of the attack periods. I only made a couple of mistakes, so keep that in mind when you watch it. So great game, love it. I really enjoyed that.
I think the last games that I played in August are these.
Well, you didn't talk about battles.
Oh, we'll get to that in a second. So, this is something that I play solitaire on my own. This is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, and then Bureau of Investigation, which is just Call of Cthulhu version of this. It's just...
Good fun.
Yeah, I love investigation and that kind of stuff in books and in RPGs and stuff.
Yeah.
And so this is just...
So this is not cooperative?
You can do it cooperative, but you
it's
just
not.
like... I do half of it and then I give it to you and you do the other bit. And
so it's not...
You know, you could, and people do it.
Yeah.
But I also can just like sit in bed with the map out like a newspaper, reading the little books, and my wife thinks I'm a nerd. But I'm having a great time because I just like the stories. And the
Those are nice looking
narratives.
boxes.
Yeah, they're very, very nice.
Yeah.
So that's fun. So yeah, Battles Magazine, issue 12.
From like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? 2 or 3 years ago.
It doesn't even, yeah. So this had Night Drop 2 in it. So I played it solitaire, and that might be I would not play this 2-player.
Oh, okay.
It's fairly one-sided.
Okay.
You can, because like, you can lose very easily, but the Germans won't have done a whole lot the whole game.
Okay.
It's that you didn't quite meet your objective. So
Got it.
Is a good solitaire game, I would say that.
And it looks great.
Yeah, it's again, it's not the same style as Niels Johansson, but it has a defined style that's very cool to play with. Good luck getting a hold of it, by the way.
Is it sold out now?
yeah.
I have a copy.
Yes.
I have never played it.
But I tried to look for Night Drop 1, and it's like, no, it's not worth $120 on the aftermarket. I would say that.
And isn't this a French company?
Yeah,
French
So
magazine?
this is by Kamchatka Publishing.
Okay.
I love this as a magazine. The magazine itself is 120 pages.
I read the magazine.
And it is chock full of reviews.
Yeah, it
and
was
stuff.
good.
Excellent. And this is the first game from one of their magazines that I played, and it was very enjoyable. I got a couple others that at some point I'll get to, but yeah, I played the Solitaire, shot a review of that. That's coming at some point down the pipeline as well.
We have too much content.
We do.
Because we have videos scheduled till...
when this is released, we have videos scheduled out to the middle of November. So that's 2 months worth of content.
So I would ask you, have you scheduled my 12 unboxing videos?
No.
Okay. So I spent an entire afternoon shooting those. So we have so many videos coming.
That
That's
content
crazy.
is going to be November and December.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
That's crazy. Oh. That's crazy.
yeah. So
This is crazy. This is crazy.
if anything, knock on wood, would happen to us, you'll still have new content for the Players' Day
At least
till the end of 2022.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So we played that was all the games that we played.
Yeah.
In August. That was a lot.
Well, and we also didn't play the game, but we were on everything you wanted to know about war games, but were afraid to ask.
Yes.
With Dan Pancaldi and Ardwolf,
Yes.
Gary Nagel.
Nagel.
What is it?
Nagel.
I think there's an N in there.
Gary.
Ardwolf. It's Ardwolf. I don't care. He doesn't know my name.
It's Gary from Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition.
There you go. But we were on their show for about 90 minutes a couple of weeks ago. That's where we were introduced to Jess with Noble Knight Games. We had a nice little discussion about all different types of things.
We've only ever talked to her through like email correspondence because we work with them and they sponsor
We don't
these
like
shows.
people. We don't like to talk to people.
But it was like, we finally got to meet them in person.
Yeah.
The show was a riot.
Yeah, I had a blast.
You have to go and watch that.
On No Enemies Here.
Yeah, just for Dan's introduction.
It's pretty funny.
We're just like chatting beforehand. He's like, okay, I'm going to start the show.
Yeah.
And hits the big green button and it plays this 2-minute video that I'm not going to spoil for you.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
You have to go and
There
watch
are
it.
lots of voices. references to obscure things. It was just very
I
interesting.
needed to sit down afterwards.
Yeah, it was
I
pretty
almost
funny.
vomited into my shoe. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, it was
incredible.
It was funny.
and
for
the
sure.
show was just kind of nuts.
Yeah.
So we appreciate them having us on. That was
Yeah, always a
blast.
pleasure to talk to both those guys, but also a pleasure to be on their show or other shows. It's just always fun. Never have a bad time doing that.
Yes. So,
And they're
September.
good people.
Going into September.
So what are we going to try to play
What are
in
we
September? Well, one game that we know we're going to play because we already played it. The Red Burnous. This is a newer company, I think, or at least to the historical.
Yeah, this is their first
board war
foray
game.
into
Yeah.
Yes.
Into historical games.
Yes.
And we think this is more of a board game than a war game, although it has combat, it's area control,
Yeah.
it's cooperative, but it
Yes,
uses
fully co-op
fully co-op.
or solo.
Yeah, but it uses deck building,
Yes.
which is very well done. It's very thematic. Really looks, I think, at a different side of wargaming than I think has ever been looked at in any conflict style or historical game.
Yep. I'd never heard of or kind of read anything about
Yeah.
this, so that was fascinating. A very yeah.
And look at that art. Just
It's
really
a beautiful
really nice.
game to play with.
Here's the back of the box for those that usually complain that we don't show
If
it.
this is their first, their first historical game, they kind of knocked this out of the park.
Yeah, it was great.
Like-
Let's not do a review on it. We
No.
already did a review,
But-
but Roberta Taylor and Matt Shoemaker
We're going to
were
play
the
this
designers.
in September.
Yes, and it's a great game. So, what else are we going to play in September?
Another game that we're going to play in September is
that we're going to play because we've already played
We
it.
played this like the very first weekend of September. This is Weimar, the Fight for Democracy from Capstone Games.
Not a game that we normally would play.
No, this is
is a
like
Euro
a
game.
straight Euro game.
It was funny. Someone attacked me on Twitter and was like, "Well, you're redefining Eurogame." Really, dude? I mean, this is a Euro game.
We're not doing the Euro game war game fights. We're not
Yeah,
doing that.
this is a Euro.
This is a card driven worker placement game.
Yes,
Like let's not pretend it's anything else other than that.
and it's awesome.
It's extremely good.
We loved it. It's a 6-hour game,
Yes.
but it's awesome.
This is I don't know how the Kickstarter's going to go, but from
Well,
the
it's
way-
already funded.
okay.
I want to say I checked it the other day, and I think it was around 80,000.
What I mean by that is
Oh.
this is a 4-player only game. I don't know if there's going to be other modes to it to play it with fewer players.
I don't think so.
I just
don't know
don't
how
know.
you would do that.
Unless you had bots for those guys.
Yeah, but it
that's
would be
very
like
messy and
it would be
procedural.
like, in my opinion, playing Churchill with the bots. It's just not the same experience. You can do it. It's just not the same
Yeah.
experience.
You're going to get 4 people together. You're going to sit down at a big con or a
All
big war
afternoon,
game night.
yep.
You're going to play this for 6 hours, and it's
Yep.
going to be a monster of a game. It's great.
Well, and it's such a Matthias Kramer,
Yes.
right? Well designed. He did Watergate. He's
Look how
done
big
many-
this thing is. This is
It's huge and it's chock full of stuff. But it's one of those games where it's a modicum of area control or area presence, I
Yep.
think is the word I used. It's got a little bit of senatorial jockeying for position and control. You're deploying some units and doing some street fighting, and you're doing some
it's a bit of everything.
subjugation, and I mean, it's fantastic. And you're trying to do a legislative agenda that helps the country.
Yeah.
Except for
Except everyone else is trying to do their own.
yeah,
one.
it's just so interesting. Not a game that we normally would play.
No, and that's the one thing that I would say. I really liked that game because we don't play a lot of games like it.
Yes.
If it's not a game that's normally to my taste.
Yeah.
So when we do play it, it's got a great historical theme. It's extremely well
Mm-hmm.
executed, and it was enjoyable. I'm not a big Euro gamer like that, honestly.
Yeah.
Like
We
if-
play a couple now and again.
But if we were playing those every week,
It's not my bag.
it's I don't know. It's just not for me.
Well, I think the comment that I made in the video, and that game is not like that. Euro games typically are, you do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. You're chopping wood to build this, to do that, right? And you do that over and over again.
and it's making your engine work.
Yeah, make it be efficient and do it the best.
That ain't it.
You're chopping wood in that game, but you're chopping wood to build a lectern where you're trying to garner support in the beer halls of Munich.
Yeah,
and then you're fighting people outside in the barricade.
Yeah, and just as you're finishing it, someone stabs you.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. So
very good.
We had a great time with that. We played it 4-player. Russ and
Jordan
came down from Lafayette.
Appreciate them doing that. That was really good of them.
We had a good time. That video is up on the YouTube channel. The Kickstarter is still live. I think it's through the end of the month.
Yeah.
But the last time I checked, it was already funded. But it's like $130. But that is a really nice game.
Yeah,
so you're getting what you pay for.
If it's at 80,000, I think that's all of this stuff.
Everything is pimped out now.
Because that's what we had played with, which I was kind of grateful that they'd done that for us.
Screen printed pieces,
everything's
wood,
double layered boards, so everything fits into
nice linen finished cards. Fantastic game. We did that one. We did a preview. I enjoyed it a lot. We're doing that in September.
Yes.
So the other 3 games that we're going to try to play by the end of the month, because we still have 3 Fridays.
Yes.
We think we can do it. We think, right?
Yes.
We're going to go for Donnerslag. This is from VUCA Simulations. It's a 2-player hex encounter card-driven war game. Basically, the 6th German army is encircled. Is it the 6th German army?
Sure.
Something like that.
Yeah, it is.
Outside of Stalingrad, and you're trying to fight your way out while the Soviets are trying to crush you.
The board in this looks really nice.
It's snow.
Snowboard.
Yeah, it's very cool. Beautiful graphic design. The components are excellent. Really looking forward to this.
We have a couple of their games.
We do.
This is the first one
we played. The one we played on Frederick, I didn't like that one. So we never did a review on it because we just didn't like it.
That was tough.
And then Crossing the Line,
we just never got to.
We never got to. I still have that game, and it looks fantastic. This game looks awesome.
And I've got Operation Theseus.
We just got that one as well.
Which is one that I'm like, if we don't get to it, I'm playing that solo.
Yeah.
Because
we also have Bismarck.
Oh, they just said, and Nach Paris.
Oh my gosh, and
that's a big one, isn't it?
That game looks awesome. World War I, and it looks incredible.
This company is churning stuff out. So.
Yeah, and not just churning it out, they are making great games. Yes. So we're going to play this one. I guarantee this month we're getting, if we don't, I'm no longer going to speak to you.
That's a big hex encounter war game. I want to play that.
Yeah. The other one we want to try to play is Flashpoint South China Sea, designed by our friend Harold Buchanan of Liberty or Death fame. This is a 2-player, and it's in their Flashpoint series, so it's the first game in that series, but they have others that are already coming or going to be announced soon. United States, China, fighting over the South China Sea.
And it's a playing cards, influencing style game.
Yep. We played it at Gen Con 3 years ago.
It was a prototype. I'm curious to see how or if it's changed.
It's changed significantly.
I think that's what I deem.
Yeah, and you crushed me in that game. I don't know if you remember this. I was so embarrassed.
I think I may vaguely.
Oh my gosh,
that was a long time ago.
But it's beautiful. Plays in about, I think, 45 minutes.
Yeah, isn't it part of their like lunch
30 to 60
minutes.
minutes. It just looks really good. We're probably going to play this 2 or 3 times, in an hour and a half, and really enjoy it. So looking forward to that.
And then the last game
from GMT,
big game,
and we are playing this one this month too, or I'm not speaking to you anymore ever again.
A Most Fearful Sacrifice. This has been on the docket once before in one of these videos. This time we will do it.
3 Days of Gettysburg.
Yes.
Absolutely beautiful.
Massive, beautiful game. Rick Barber maps.
Look at that Rick Barber map. I mean, it's not even like a real picture, but it's just freaking ridiculous.
And it's massive.
It's so gorgeous.
I think it's 2 freaking huge boards that probably don't fit on my table.
And that's one thing, and I'll tell this to Mark Walker, I don't like those oversized boards.
Here's the thing.
I don't.
We're currently in the process of having our father-in-law design and build us a bigger gaming table.
So they'll be more acceptable after we have
So once
that.
I can fit this on there, I'll be like, oh, it's so great.
It needs to be bigger. Yeah.
And all the little plebs, the small tables. Ugh.
Yeah.
I'll be a table
Subhumans. Yeah.
But Herman Luttman, I know there's going to be some elements of kind of chaos in here and some fog of war and playing it. I'm very curious. And this is this weighs a ton.
Yeah.
It's a big, massive game.
Yep.
We will play this.
So those are kind of our 3 games that we're going to play by the end of the month. I'm also going to continue with some solo games.
Yes. I will also play the African Campaign Designer Signature 2nd Edition this month.
And you've already played
Yeah,
it.
if you follow me on Twitter, I already played it this month. I'll be playing this solo, so check out. A review for this will come in 3 months.
Yeah. I've got the Knight that I also want to play from White Dog Games. It's based on George Romero's Night of the Living Dead.
Yes, not Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, I unboxed it, started reading the rules. It's just total
When you're
fun.
done with that, I want to have a go on
absolutely.
that too.
I think we should play it cooperative because we can play it together.
Probably.
I mean, it's not really cooperative, but you can play it together.
Yeah, just pushing around together. Yeah. The other thing, this just arrived. This is D-Day at Saipan, new D-Day at game from Decision Games. I will try to squeeze this in at some point in September, hopefully. I'm very excited for this.
I really hope they fix the problems in the Iwo Jima game.
And by the looks of it, they have.
I just want them to
But
go
I
back
don't
to the
know.
old system because it worked.
Yes.
John Butterfield's system was fantastic. I had Tarawa. I loved it. I know you have Omaha Beach, and
Yep.
you also have Peleliu.
I do indeed, which I have not played.
I have Iwo Jima. I just didn't enjoy it.
But this one's by Joe Yost.
Well, the other Iwo Jima was by Joe Yost.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is I hope he didn't make changes just for the sake of making changes. Let's stick with a system that works and don't try to overdo it.
Well,
so let's see. We'll see.
Because that's a lot of people are like, ooh.
I just don't like when a designer, and I'm sorry, Joe, I'm not trying to be, but I thought the system worked fine. Butterfield put it together. It worked fantastic. They had 3 games in the system. They were all fun. Why did you, I just don't understand why we changed it so much, but that's my opinion. I'm bitter.
I feel like it
Get
may
off
have
my
gone
lawn.
back to it, but
I hope so.
we'll see. So I think that's everything.
My goodness, I hope that's everything.
Who knows what else will happen this month?
Yeah, you never know. But we have got to play those 3 or 4 games that we've talked about because they need to be played. They're screaming to be played.
Yes. Yes.
And our fans want them to be played.
And they want to hear about them in 4 months'
In 4
time.
months' time, in January. Sorry about that. We still have WBC interviews coming up.
Yeah.
I counted them in my head, and we have like 5 more interviews coming up.
Yeah.
You haven't put up Evan, what's his name? With Zoin.
Yeah, we got Zoin with Evan Walter.
The Blue Jackets game.
Blue Jackets War.
What was the other one?
There
was at least one more, but now I'm drawing a blank.
I'm sure there is.
Blood and Treasure with Dan Bullock is on there.
Someone please sign that game and make it.
Oh my gosh, that game was awesome. And then we also have the Trip Home video.
Yes.
The top moments of WBC 2022.
Yes.
That's another car video.
Which is another car video for you car nerds.
You know what we need to do?
Oh no.
We need to just drive around for 6 hours one Saturday and make videos. Everybody seemed to like that.
They did.
We didn't die. I didn't break any traffic laws. We did try to act very cool when the cop cars went by us.
Yeah, it was like a.
We were worried if there was some kind of obscure state law that I'm hiding my microphone.
Trying to be very
I'm
coy.
just itching my neck here. Yeah. Anyway, let's get those played. Let's do it.
Yes.
Please.
Okay.
It's always you that makes us not play games.
It's
I'm
true.
just going to say it.
Okay. So, what is on Kickstarter this month?
Okay.
We've talked about a couple already.
Yep. Weimar and
Weimar's on
Sparta
Kickstarter, and then
is on Kickstarter.
Sparta on Kickstarter.
A new one that just came out on Kickstarter. 2 new ones that just came out on Kickstarter. One is called Archie's War, The Battle of Guadalcanal, designed by Derek Croxton from Worthington Publishing. That one literally just released like 3 days ago.
And I feel like it just came out of the ether. I hadn't heard anything about it until
no.
they tweeted a picture of it saying, hey, this is on Kickstarter.
This is coming
now.
out.
Like,
Yeah.
there was none.
So I very quickly reached out to Grant Wiley, the other Grant, asked him to put me in contact with the designer. He did. I crafted 20 questions, and I usually do about 28. So I just did 20 this time. Derek filled them out. I've edited them. That will be up next week.
Okay.
That game looks awesome. 1 and 2 player game, not a typical war game. So I'm interested to see how it all plays out. Fog of War blocks, uses dummies a lot. So it's going to be interesting. Diceless combat system. So that's one. The other one is Snell Boats from Compass.
Yes.
That just came out a couple of days ago. That is a solitaire game based on the German Snell boats in World War II, right? Patrolling the coasts of the North Atlantic.
Yes.
So that's another one. Those were the 4. There was another one that I looked them up on my phone, and now I can't remember.
There's always a ton of them.
There's also a very cool one that's a book Kickstarter from Lombardi Studios, Dana Lombardi. It's an East Front dual book series. I put that in my Wargame Watch feature. If you like World War II historical books, it's pretty cool.
Is that the one where they're doing a Kickstarter to get it to US distribution because it's already out in the EU?
I'm not sure about that. I read up on it, but that doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. I was reading some other military history war book Kickstarter.
And they were trying to get it over to the US.
They're like, oh, this is a Kickstarter for these 2 books purely for US distribution.
Were they East Front?
I don't remember.
Okay. One is like the air war on the East Front. Yeah, I can't remember what the other one is.
It's funny because it might be, but it also might not be.
But they look really good. I put that in my Wargame Watch. If you're interested in that, I think it's still ongoing. Those were the 5 Kickstarters that I think Oh, the other one was a pre-order, so it's not a Kickstarter.
Yep, that's right.
So our friends at Assault Games, Wolfgang Klein, put out their first expansion for their Assault Red Horizon 41 system, which we really loved.
Yes.
It was a tactical World War II East Front game.
Huge game.
Really a great game. This one is called Air Tac and Artillery. So it's air support and our offboard artillery.
Yeah,
basically.
and the rules to integrate that with everything that's in the core box.
Well, and the core box, if you remember, had those explosion symbols on the. And remember, we were like, "What are these for?" And the rules said these will be used in a later expansion. That's what they're for. So the really cool thing about that is I read through it because I have an interview upcoming with him. I think not next week, but the following week. Buildings will be destroyed. Craters will be made. So when you shoot and you miss or you go here, things are going to change on the battlefield. I think that's really cool.
That's always fun.
He's going to put in those counters, so you'll have like a half demolished building. You'll have some new craters that you're going to need to maneuver around. It just looks really great. It fully integrates with the base system, and you can do both or just one. You don't have to do all of it. So it's kind of a plug and play what you want. But that's Assault Games. It's been on pre-order for like a week or 2.
Yes.
So those are the 6 that I'm aware of. Do you know of anything else?
No, but in other Kickstarter news, the let's see, what is it? The Frosthaven might deliver by the end of the year, which I'm very excited
we'll
about.
disappear for 6 months then.
Yeah, the 2023 might be a very dry year.
We got to commit though that we can't just only play that. We got to keep doing war games.
Sure, yeah. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, well.
And then the Blade Runner RPGs coming in November.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
and Letters of Marque for Dead Reckoning also you just did your backer kit, whatever they call that.
When are they thinking that's going to come out?
I think sometime? It's April, May of 23. So
Dead Reckoning is amazing, by the way.
Oh, it's a great game. It's a card crafting adventure style game.
We should quit this and only play Frosthaven and Dead Reckoning.
Well,
there are people that do that.
Yeah, there are. I don't think that I want to do that. I do want to play those games quite a bit, but anyway. So that's what I know about on Kickstarter.
Yes. Tons of stuff out there. Keep an eye on it. So, before we dive into the topic of this month's debrief, a quick word from our sponsor, Noble Knight Games.
Boy, that was so seamless.
Wasn't it just...
This is beautiful.
The
editing
the magic
ability
of Hollywood.
Oh, it's just amazing.
Yes, you don't know this. I have made... Speaking of editing, I had made a video talking about some Wargame trays that I bought from CubeForMe.com.
Yeah, I saw those on your Twitter feed. I hate it when you don't tell me stuff that you do. It kind of hurts my feelings.
Sure.
I'm just going to tell you, it hurts my feelings.
But I did it...
I tell you everything!
I did it as an experiment. In case it was crap, I didn't want to have to be like, oh, these suck. They don't, by the way. But I made a video.
Well, they're made specifically for games, or like specific games.
Well, so
you can use them in other stuff.
yeah, they make trays, and they have all sorts of shapes and sizes, and then from those they've tailored them for games.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. And so I bought a package for Atlantic Chase, and they sent some extras, which I was really appreciative of. And it was like, because I want to be like, is this worth it? Should I do this? And they were. But anyway, I was making a video, kind of showing it off and stuff. And halfway through, Kelly walks down and just like walks straight in, and I was like, wait, I'm making a video. You can obviously see that.
Yeah.
And we just had a laugh back and forth. But I used some more colourful language than you usually see on YouTube.
Did you bleep that out?
No. I'd forgotten about that. And so I made the little video, and I made it unlisted, and I made it as a private little post for our patrons. Of like, hey, here's some advanced content.
And people were like,
this is hilarious. And I was like, oh no, this
forgot to
will
edit.
be demonetized.
Yeah.
And so I had to go change it. But everyone on the Slack channel is like, no. On Patreon, we want more swearing.
we're not big swearers, but occasionally we let some out.
It was very funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, editing.
Kelly kind of walks around here like she owns the place.
Well, in
sometimes.
fairness, she does.
Yeah.
But it was so the magic of editing. You're lucky you get any, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It's who we are, man. It's who we are.
Yes.
And no, we're not going to show the back of the box.
But we appreciate Noble Knight for sponsoring us.
Yeah, great company.
Love them
We're
to death.
appreciative of them.
They just finished up a big 25% off sale, so I hope you all made good use of that. I made good use of it. I bought the neoprene mat for Warfighter.
Which we absolutely didn't need.
Oh, no.
But
absolutely
that's okay.
not.
It's not important.
When it's a card game and you can push them and pick them up.
Sure,
I
it's
remember
nice.
trying to claw those with my nails on that shiny board.
Speaking of that, I did not order the neoprene mat for Dead Reckoning.
Do you regret that?
I still could. It was $30.
Plus shipping, right?
I couldn't bring myself to do it.
I don't... Of all the games, I don't think
it's
that one
needed.
needs
No.
it. Because the problem with that game is the cards are still on the actual tiles.
Right, they're not on the neoprene.
If they were on a
mat.
neoprene, different story.
So I didn't buy it.
No, yeah. I think that's reasonable.
I bought the upgraded buildings.
Wait, they got even more upgraded buildings?
Yeah, they're going to be 3D printed and they look awesome.
Are they
What
going to be
else did
kind of
I
like
get?
half painted like the...
I'm not sure.
chest
They didn't show that much detail.
That was amazing.
But yeah, I actually was proud of myself that I said no.
Some restraint. Good.
Yeah. After you told me, I bought this neoprene mat and I did
Yeah,
this.
well, I
I'm
bought
like,
that and I bought Battle Over Britain, which is an old game.
Did you need that game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
Just
trying to
wondering.
complete my Battle of Britain collection.
Yeah, so you can do a video and read a book on that and do a little video. When's the first of those series coming out?
I think it's in September. Oh,
Okay,
that's
so
this
soon.
month. It might be this month.
Okay.
It might be October. I'm not
Nice.
sure. But so yeah, if you didn't know, that's something that's coming up because I've just been reading a bit more kind of military history, and so I've got some videos coming out where it's like talking about a book, and also some war games that relate to that book. So if
Yeah, I
that's
think that'll be
something-
pretty interesting.
If people want it, they do, and if they don't, I'll stop doing it.
Did you do a D-Day one?
Yeah, I've done 3 for I think September, October, November. I've got a D-Day one, I've got one about the Reformation.
Yep.
And one about
borrowed
the
here, I
Falklands, which
Okay.
is part of the reason I played Mrs. Snatch's War.
Because I've got dozens of books on the American Revolutionary War, the French and Indian War. I could also do those. I've read all those books.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something.
Yeah.
I just did them, and so
I'll have to watch your video and see if that's something
if
I could do.
if people are interested in it,
yeah.
then
Well, it's
let
just-
us know.
It's just another video that
Yeah.
people will watch. And
And it's a way for me to also integrate some of my other hobbies as well.
Sure.
Because I enjoy reading, and so we talk about Red Burnous. The back of that book,
you gotta find-
has a bibliography.
yeah, you got to find a book
So
on
I'm
that
like,
subject.
oh yeah, I'm going to do that. And I presume that other people in this hobby do that. They either read a book and are like, oh, that was interesting, I'd like to play a game.
Yeah.
Or they play a game and are like, oh, I'd like to
I got to
read a
find.
book.
I have a couple books that I've gotten after I played games.
Me too.
And I don't read a ton.
And
I can't read.
And I think that, I think that exchange of different mediums helps to cement your learning from the game, or the game helps cement your learning from the books as well. I just think it's interesting.
Hold on a second. Yes, Lieutenant Ellen Ripley, what's going on over there?
Oh, Lieutenant, she's...
You mentioned integrating your other hobbies into the... I think if you finish Lieutenant Ellen Ripley and the one single solitary egg...
I'll do it.
We can finish playing that game.
I'll do it. I paint all the miniatures.
Yes, he's very good. He's actually very good at it.
It just comes in waves.
Yeah, you do like 25 at once, and then you never do it again for 6 months.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's part
very
of life.
much how it goes.
That's the way hobbies are.
Okay,
you're in and out.
So, the main topic of this month's debrief was.
I'm excited about it.
Yes,
we haven't done one like this.
No, and I don't know if this is something that might recur as well.
I mean, there's tons of people we could cover.
Yes. So this month's topic was suggested by a patron of ours, JT. Very grateful for his suggestion. If you want
Does JT stand for John Thomas or?
I don't know.
Justin Timberlake? Is it Justin Timberlake?
Justin Timberlake is one of our patrons. You heard it here first.
I'm going to be honest. He's one of my guilty pleasures. I love Justin Timberlake. That guy is hilarious.
Yes.
Have you ever seen his Saturday Night Live skits?
Yes.
Where he sings? Those are fantastic. Anyway, sorry, I'm off topic. What were we talking about?
We were talking
JT. We're talking about JT.
Justin Timberlake suggested this week's monthly debrief
Justin
topic.
Timberlake, yeah.
If you wish to suggest or have the capacity to, you can sign up to our Patreon. The $5 level gets you access to be able to submit those. We usually pick something from those.
$5, that's it?
I know, right?
Wow. Did we increase that with inflation? Did we charge more for that?
No, we didn't.
We
because
could probably
we're
make
so
it
generous.
$6. All right, we'll keep it at $5. But we need more people to join it so that we can
get more suggestions.
Well, so that we can get more cool things like this boom and our cool mics.
Yes.
Has everybody noticed the mics and the difference with the mics?
How can they not have?
Well, you can actually hear.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We're very grateful for everyone who's ever supported this channel.
Because this is what we do.
Yeah.
We go out and we buy stuff like this.
Yes.
This wasn't $25.
No, it wasn't.
So.
But I hope that it helps you guys get better content back as well. I hope you're seeing returns from that.
So just in the past year, I'm just going to point this out.
Sure.
We've upgraded your laptop.
Yeah, which was used to process all these videos, which, by the way, are now processed in 4K, so I hope you can see a difference too.
I was watching the Sparta one the other day, and it is so crisp and clean and beautiful, it's amazing.
And part of that's because we have the new camera, which is last year, but new camera, new processing on a laptop, new mics. I really hope.
New boom that we've done, I think 2 or 3 playthroughs now.
Yeah, and I've used this to do
solo stuff,
for solo
and
ARs
unboxings.
And things. No.
You don't? Okay.
I think I've done a couple, but I don't know. I'm not sure what I find easier with the unboxings. But yeah.
I wish I had a nice camera to do my unboxings with.
That's what's next. Some nice lighting and some nice cameras.
Use my iPhone and it just looks like crap. But that's okay. People know it's my video. They're like, oh, it looks like crap. Grant did this one.
It was shot on a potato.
Yeah, basically.
But yeah, that's what's next. And everyone's support helps with that. And thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Sorry, JT, I didn't want to offend you. If you don't like Justin Timberlake, that's your fault. I'm sorry.
So anyway.
JT recommended that we discuss the games of
Mark Herman.
Mark Herman.
He'd suggested maybe a discussion about a particular designer, and we thought, let's kick it off with the big dog.
And we also thought it was a great idea because there are dozens of designers that we love their games. Volko Ruhnke, Brian Train, Herman Lutman. I mean, I could go on and on.
Yeah,
naming
we've played a bunch
John
of
Butterfield. I mean,
Jerry White.
We could do this every week or every month for the next 5 years and probably still not run out of content.
We will not, but this might be something.
Maybe once every.
This kind of a spotlight that comes up again every so often.
Yeah, to me, it's a good one.
Yes. So let's talk about Mark Herman at Mark Herman's Games.
What can't we say about Mark Herman?
Mark Herman has a Wikipedia page.
He does.
That tells you enough about Mark Herman. You should go and read that if you want to learn his history.
Well, and Mark Herman is good people. I'm going to be honest. I don't know him that well personally, but we have played several games with him. We've done a couple videos with him. He seems like a really down-to-earth guy who frankly knows how to design a damn war game.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome. So
he's designed an ungodly amount of games.
Oh, yeah.
We've played some of them.
we've probably played about a quarter, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
And it's I want to do more. It's just we don't have more time.
Yeah, and so
One day when I'm 70,
Right.
we'll play more. No,
we'll all be doing that.
I'll be blind and
Yeah.
probably dead.
So, whew,
It got morbid.
I got dog real quick. But so, Mark Herman is often credited as being kind of the father of the modern CDG.
No doubt.
And I think that starts with a game called For the People. No, We
No,
the People.
We the People. Yeah.
I always
was
get
sitting there
those
going,
mixed up.
no, that's not right. We the People.
I think that was kind of the first one that was really like...
Which covered the American Revolution.
Yes.
Right? And ultimately became
Yeah, it was revisited and became
Washington's War.
But,
Which I own, love. We've played several times and I love it.
Yeah.
It's just a good, clean, solid design.
yeah, not particularly complicated.
Nope.
You know, that could be your first war game, and that you'd have no problems with that. It's both a war game, but also a game. Like,
Yeah.
there's gamey elements to it, so you're not just immediately thrown into, like, combat factors and CRTs
Yeah.
and modifiers and things like that.
In fact, it's not really even about combat. I mean, there's combat, but if you're messing around with combat the whole
very
game,
much an
you're
area
gonna
control
lose.
game, and that combat helps you do that.
Yeah.
So,
But you're right. He is credited as the godfather of the CDG
Yes.
form.
So there's a few games of his that we have here that we haven't played.
Yep.
Some of these are criminal, so I'm just getting them out of the way.
Yep, we're going to admit that we haven't played this.
Rip the
You
Band-Aid
can
off.
mock us.
And this is shameful.
Incessantly.
We've talked about him being the godfather of CDGs. I have For the People.
And I have it on P500
Yes.
because I want my own copy.
And this is a whole thing because I almost went out and bought a copy of this.
Weren't you asking me? And I'm like, Alexander, you
I have it
a
on
copy
my
on your
shelf.
shelf. And you were like,
So this is
no,
like-
I don't. I said, yeah, you
This
do.
is like 10 levels of shame.
Yeah.
Because I've had it on my shelf for a while. We haven't played it. At some point, we will.
We need to.
This is it.
American Civil War.
Big CDG. They play like a tournament of this every year at WBC.
Yeah.
It's won by James Pay every year that he's there. Because he's a For the People genius. So this is a big CDG point-to-point movement game on the ACW. This is like, we have not played this.
No, we have
But
not.
I have it, and we will at some point.
Yep.
But
Well, and it, once again, the beauty of the CDG form is that it tells history and uses those events to drive the game,
yes.
right? So you will have those insertions of actual history, but sometimes they come in a different order, or you may not take that event the way that it was done. So it retells history, but it also allows you
Yeah.
to retell the history and try to have a different outcome or a better outcome
It really takes a step back from heavy simulation
Yeah.
towards the game end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, not a ton,
But it doesn't
some.
mean they're not competitive.
No, they're very
just
competitive.
they're a little more gamey.
Yeah,
which
they-
I find
It
that I
just
love
injects
CDG.
a little bit more fun into it, where you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not.
Not that we don't like Hex Encounter. And I
Oh, we
mean
love
we love that. The CDG is just fun.
Yes, and that's what Mark's known for, so that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of Hex Encounter, not a card-driven game,
Another game of his that we haven't played.
Pacific War. Yeah, this one just came out, and a lot of people have replayed
This
it.
one didn't just come out. This came out like 6 months ago.
Yeah, it was 2020 though, 2022.
You were supposed to get this ready to play, and you have failed.
Yep.
I blame you.
So this is a redo. Pack War was an old game. Was it from Victory Games?
I think it was from Victory
It
Games.
was from
yep.
Victory Games that he worked
I think
for.
they did a lot of his early
Yes.
Gulf Strike, and
Yeah, they did that.
some
They
of
did
those
Gulf Strike. They
games.
did France 1944.
There you go. Yep.
So this was kind of a redo, big mounted maps and an ungodly amount of counters, and this is huge, huge game.
I think this has like 2,000 counters in it, doesn't it, or something like that?
Something stupid like that. It's 10 counter sheets.
10 counter sheets.
Yeah, it's
And the playtime on this is like 3 to 100 hours. So there are small scenarios, and I appreciate those content creators out there who have gone through.
Yes.
You know, there's like a Savo Island scenario where you learn about air naval combat.
How to conduct
and-
this aspect.
Yep.
And
then there's a
bigger one. And
a
bigger one.
Guadalcanal scenario where you learn to do ground combat. And to me, that's the way we're going to play it. We have talked about that. We're going to pick 3 or 4 of those scenarios. We're going to set them up. We're going to play them because they play like in 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, the small stuff, very manageable.
Yep. And it's like eating a steak a couple bites at a time, then going out and playing a game of tennis and coming back and eating another couple bites.
Yes.
Is that a terrible analogy, or is
I
it
don't
just
know.
me?
If it was swimming, you'd be sick.
Yeah, I'd probably drown, right?
So those are the 2 of his games that I've got on hand that we haven't played.
Embarrassed that we haven't played them.
Yeah.
Because they're well known.
But there's many games of his that we have played
Yep.
that we love very, very, very much.
And tonight, there are some that I have that I didn't bring,
Yeah.
right? Because we hadn't decided we were going to do this topic until I'd already come over. And
Yeah.
so I have like Pericles at home.
Incredible.
We love Pericles. Pericles is on the Peloponnesian War. We played it 2016, 2017.
Yeah, when it very first came out in 2017.
I kind of laugh because I think we got it right, but we were very novice wargamers at that time.
Yes.
We're still novice wargamers. But recently we played it at WBC and it all kind of clicked for me.
It was
And
excellent.
I was reminded why Mark Herman is a guy that we're doing this video segment
Yes.
about. That game is fantastic.
Just so good.
It involves everything from the political and negotiation side to the combat side. So you're fighting over issues that you then fight out over once they're decided on the battlefield.
Yes.
Fantastic. I had a great time.
Yeah.
Pete from England
Pete from Kent.
played with, I'm not sure he liked us,
Oh, I don't.
but,
Who cares?
and then Mike Heckman played
Yes.
with us, and we had a great time. And I would say Pericles is probably one of my top 10
Just
all-time war games.
If you've got 4 players, that game
It's
is
just fantastic.
Just,
I loved it.
And
And
then-
I loved it again when we rediscovered it, and I want to play it again
Yes.
at the next big con we go to.
and you also have Washington's War. That's why
I
it's
do.
not here.
Washington's War is just, it is utter bliss and such a great implementation of that system. We played that thing like 5 years ago and just loved it.
Yeah.
I remember that evening. That was the first time we had a laugh blowout.
Yeah, there
where we
was some
couldn't
bloopers from
stop.
that.
But I remember playing that and going through it and discussing it and understanding, oh, this game is really good because it does this. And it really is not about combat. It's more about the fight for the people's hearts and minds. And that's what the American Revolution was.
You should go and watch that video, if only for the very jaunty Dutch angle that it was shot
Oh
at
my
as
gosh,
well.
we were so stupid.
That was
in our
like
early
on my
days.
phone at our in-laws' house.
In the
On
dark.
their, like, dining room table. It
The
was
lighting
like
was terrible there.
10:30 at night, yeah.
Oh, it was later than that. That night it was like midnight.
That was the
We
that's
were
a fun
younger.
video.
We were both younger.
Yes.
You had hair, I had no beard.
Yeah, I
And
think
I was
had
about
no
20,
beard. I don't
15,
remember.
20 pounds lighter, but a great game. And if you haven't played Washington's War, you need to play it. It's a game that I think almost anyone can get, can understand, and
Not a complicated game.
it will make you love the CDG mechanic and really get you on the path of understanding why Mark is so good at what he does.
Yeah, and the only other one that I think you have that
France
isn't here-
44.
Oh, that
Yeah.
one too.
Yeah.
So yeah, France 44. So it's France 1944.
Is that from Victory Games as well?
Yes. So
I
which
have
is
that at home.
hilarious. I used to have a copy. I played it once, and then I it was in a big trade. I traded it away, and then you happen to have a copy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Compass did a designer's signature edition of it.
Why haven't we gotten that one?
Great question.
Okay.
But we probably should rectify that.
Yeah.
Because it's
I'm sure we can find it on Noble Knight Games.
probably, and that's
a
where you should
reasonable
look for it
price.
too.
Yeah.
But yeah, because the problem with France 1944 is the very first turn setup is awful because it's just it was massive stacks and they're all on the Normandy beachhead, but it's the whole of France.
Yep.
And once they spread out, it's totally fine. such a manageable game.
Yeah.
So I hope they figured that out in the DSE, but I'm not sure. But that's a
Probably not.
who knows.
Gonna be honest.
That's a game that isn't a CDG, but the activation mechanics on it are the very first kind of inklings. It's like a nascent form of some of the stuff that you find in Empire of the Sun. And Empire of the Sun is potentially one of Mark's most famous games.
Well, and I think it's also his best game. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
The more I play, and we've played that, 4 or 5 times?
Yeah.
And when I say play, I don't know that we've ever played the full campaign.
Well, we've never gotten to the end of the full campaign.
Right,
for sure.
because of our lifestyle and we can't leave the game set up, but...
Well, and there also comes a point where it's like, yeah, this is over.
Yeah, well, because you know what's going to happen.
Yes.
The way it's playing out. But I've enjoyed it every time we've played it. I love the way the cards work. I love the interception. I love the intelligence factor of it.
Yeah.
I love the way he integrates the political will back home and how that affects. I love the inter-service rivalry between the IJN and the IJA.
Yeah.
There's so many elements like that. You're building the Burma railway, or what's that called? Why am I'm drawing a blank.
It's called the Burma Road.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're building that. There's just so many very cool elements of that game. Plus, I think the map is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's fun to.
It's a
fun to
lot
look
of
at and
ocean, but it's a great looking game. And we've enjoyed it. That was one of the first big war games that we played. And
Yes.
I remember thinking, what are we doing?
But as we were learning and playing it,
Yeah.
this is a very detailed, very crunchy game. There's a lot of kind of layers to remember as you progress through a turn and through an activation. But I like the doing of it.
Oh, yeah.
The execution of it's fun to do, in my opinion. If
Yeah.
you ever meet Mark, you should get your rule book for Empire of the Sun signed as well. He's very gracious to have done that. You can nerd out too, like me. Yeah, I even have like the old 2-inch box. This comes in like a big 3-inch box.
I have the 3-inch
and
box.
stuff.
I got it off of the
I've got like
P500.
Plan Orange, which comes in the
Sure.
C3I, which is like a 1931 variant.
I've got the Breaking the Bismarck Barrier.
Yeah, South Pacific.
I need to just put that in the box.
And then there's also they just took the Burma theater that came in the
which
most
we need to
recent
play that
series.
one, by the way.
It's just the same as this. They didn't change anything. They just cut out a part of the map.
No, I understand that. Okay. That's kind of what Breaking the Bismarck Barrier was too, but you're just focused.
Bismarck Barrier was at a different scale. It was a bit more zoomed
Okay,
in,
so
and the units
okay.
were different. And
Interesting.
It's
They just put it into a more manageable.
this one they just cut out a part. I'm like, you do this.
Okay, got it.
So
I still want to play it.
But yeah, Empire of the Sun has been like, this has been through a million print runs, a number of different editions.
What printing is this?
This is
Second.
This is
I
second.
think mine in the 3-inch box is a 5th.
Yeah, so this is
I'm not
second
mistaken.
edition, like
Okay.
third printing.
Got it.
Yours is probably like third
Fifth.
edition.
5th printing or something.
stupid. Yeah, like
Yeah, and mine's clipped and organized, and it all fits so nicely. Yours, you can barely
the cards
keep it all in there.
kept separately.
And I hate that about 2-inch boxes. I just hate
So
it.
Empire of the Sun is like kind of the biggest step between something like Washington's War and that. The complexity between those two those are really two opposite ends of the CDG scales. What I would say.
Yeah.
But still functioning. You know, I've got events and I've got ops at its core value. That's kind of what those things are. Let's talk about his.
Well, let's do SPQR because
Okay.
we're still kind of in, I think, that heavier
Sure.
war game style CDG and system.
Here, let's do.
And I don't know anything about Peloponnesian War because I haven't played it.
We'll do SPQR. So, Mark Herman co-designed the Great Battles of History system with the late Richard Berg. They're very good friends, worked a lot together. SPQR.
The late Richard Berg, right?
Yes, that is. So,
Passed a couple
I've just
years ago.
picked this one up, but I could have picked one of 10 off my shelf.
Yeah.
This is very much. A lot of them are ancients. A couple of them aren't. And then there's a couple of Japanese feudal medieval games.
Yep.
Ran and Samurai, I think that's what it's called.
You have both of those.
I do. Haven't played them yet. Will do one day. But in a very ancient style, this is a hex encounter war game. This is line up how they historically were and charge forwards and kind of see what happens.
The interesting thing about this one is they have the Great Battles of History series, and then they have Simple Battles of History.
Yeah, Simple GBOH, which is how I play these.
Yes, and we have played this with Simple GBOH. That's hard to say quickly. GBOH rules.
Simple GBOH is sold separately, and it's its own little kind of PDF. It's got separate play aids, and
I think it
has all of the scenario changes.
Yeah.
If you've got the old versions. If you have the new deluxe versions, which
It's
they're
all
all
in
releasing, it has all the Simple GBOH stuff in here. You still need the Simple GBOH rules, but all the scenarios have the, if you're doing Simple GBOH, these are the things that you change and do, which is very, very nice. So if you haven't played any of these, the new big 3-inch deluxe versions are well worth looking at because they often have all of the different C3I expansions and scenarios
included
that have ever come in. Like this game has, I cannot tell you how many scenarios in it.
Well, and it comes in a 3-inch box and it's packed full. I have this as well. I've clipped mine, organized mine. We played this for the first time on Vassal. You and I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that.
It was during the pandemic. I was climbing off the walls because I was tired of doing my solo gaming. And I begged you, can you please help me with Vassal? We figured it out, got my computer up and running. I think we played one evening for 4 or 5 hours and had a blast.
Yes.
I mean, I loved the system. I'd like to do that more, but it's hard to sit down. I got stuff going on at home. It's just, then I didn't, right? You were trying to get away from people. But this system is just fantastic. It's so crunchy and so cool.
Yes.
But it's very ancient.
But it can be as crunchy as you want. You can do the Simple GBOH extremely playable.
Well, I think it's also got crunch though, right? But it's just, it's simpler.
But not overwhelming.
You're right.
The Simple GBOH rules are very comparable in their complexity level and some of the rules to the Men of Iron series.
Yes, which we love.
Which, that's also excellent, but not by my film. So we're not talking about that today.
Yeah.
So GBOH, there's an ungodly amount of these. If you're into Ancients, you probably already have some of these, but this with the little Simple GBOH rules, man, you can have Mark Herman all day.
Yep, all month.
These are very, very, very good, worthwhile packages, the big new ones.
I
really enjoyed those.
SPQR. And we had a good time with that.
And because there's no hidden information in any of those, they're really good for solo play too.
That's a game we need to play another scenario on the table, and we need to do a review of it because we've only done together on Vassal. We've never actually, I think we did 2 different scenarios, but we never sat down at the table. We've done Simple GBOH, some of the other modules, but we need to do an SPQR on the table.
They just released the new deluxe Julius Caesar, so maybe we'll do that for that as well.
Yeah. Anyway, great system, great design, really works well. I love it.
Yeah, and if you like it, there is an unconscionable amount.
I mean, there's probably like 15 volumes of it, right?
It's like
12 or 15. It's insane.
Yeah, it's something like 12. But then, when they're deluxifying these ones, you're getting so much more than what was in the original volume. It's kind of unspeakably gross.
Well, I also have Cataphract at home that I've clipped and organized, and it's ready to play.
Was that a deluxe one as well?
It was from a couple of years ago, and it's really nice. It's got ships in it, which is really cool.
Yeah,
there's a whole scenario that's based on ships.
Was
that one Mark Herman?
I'm pretty sure they all are.
Okay, so Herman and Berg.
Yes.
So I also had that game. So anyway, SPQR.
Yes.
Go ahead and talk about Peloponnesian War. I'll be quiet because I have not played this
More Ancients. So this is the only game of his that I found somewhat impenetrable. So this is a Solitaire game. And Peloponnesian War was an old game that he had designed that GMT kind of revamped and redid, and he kind of redid all the rules and stuff. My knowledge, maybe I'd be better at this now that we've played a few more Peloponnesian War games, and I feel a bit more comfortable in that kind of realm. But in this game, you start as Sparta, and you have a big stack of units, and you can do kind of whatever you want with them. And you just have to charge around the board, setting fire to everything and burning all of the
ravaging
the Athenians' lands. and then it kind of peters out, and you're done with your turn. And then the opponent kind of reacts and kind of does some stuff to kind of counter that, and then you kind of do it again. But every so often, you have to make a check that if you're doing too well in the game, you have to roll dice, and if those dice are unfavorable, you have to flip to playing the losing side. So then all that hard work that you've done, you now have to undo, which is a really neat...
The hallmark of a good CDG.
A very cool game, but my very, at the time, shallow knowledge of the Peloponnesian War led me to, like, I'd follow the playbook that was like, here's an example turn. I'd follow the turn, and then it was like, I have no idea what to do or why I should do it.
I don't know if you know this, but this does do 2 players.
Yeah, but we can try.
I don't know why we would. I didn't realize it was a 2-player game as well.
It can be, but it's...
Well, it says it has remade new scenarios for both Solitaire and 2-player.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what you think of it.
Yeah, I would like to play this one time.
It's very different
Sure.
in its kind of execution of what you're doing. But yes, at some point I will revisit that solo. We can try it 2-player as well.
Okay.
But that is the game.
Well, it's not as if we don't have the games to play.
No,
So.
but all of his other games, I'm like, immediately I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
I can see it. That one, I
a
think because of the
mystery.
topic, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's
Maybe you need the Oracle of Delphi
Yes.
to figure it out.
or I need to just like watch Mark play it and be like,
Oh,
that's what
yeah.
you're supposed to do.
I think isn't that
that's
always...
that's my issue with that. Yes.
Yeah. I watched Joel Toppin one time do his Comancheria, and I thought, now I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And now I love that game.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about that one.
All right, well, Churchill is... And I've got a great story about Churchill. I think I've told it before. But we got into that phase when we first started getting into heavy war games, where you bought...
And we thought this was heavy at the time.
Well, yeah. But you would buy a game like Labyrinth.
Yep.
We played it. We ate it up, played it 8 or 10 or 12 times. And we're like, ooh, what else does GMT have? You know, Twilight Struggle and blah, blah, blah. Well, this, I believe, was the 3rd or 4th game of theirs that you bought.
Yep.
And you brought it over to my house on a Saturday. And I was terribly unexcited about it. Because I looked at this game and went, what in the hell is that?
Which is not unfair.
So there's the map at the top there.
She's not the prettiest game out there.
I mean, it is an abstract World War II simulation of the political side of the big 3.
Yeah,
you fight over issues, and then you go over to the board and you execute those issues that you won and try to win the game.
And a big part of winning the game is you're trying to carve up the post-war peace in your favor.
Yes.
That's really what you're
by
trying to do
setting up
in this
satellite
game.
countries and not allowing certain things to happen.
And to have influenced your side to have won the war the most.
Right.
Like
but not too much.
Where we conducted the war better than you.
But
so
not
we've got
too
more
much.
prestige. Yeah, it's a beautiful
That's
game.
the thing I love about it. The not too much. Don't win it too well, because you'll piss everybody off, and then they'll gang up on you.
You still have to play nice in this game.
But I remember you bringing it over, and I was a little upset, because I thought, well, we've got Labyrinth, and we've got these other cool games, and I think I had just bought Combat Commander, and I said, okay, Grant, give it a shot. So we sat down. You were worse at teaching games then.
Oh,
I was worse at
worse.
learning games then.
Infinitely worse.
And I remember thinking, Alexander, you didn't even read the rules. Like, you didn't even come over prepared. We sat there for 4 hours, and I thought to myself, what are we playing? But then finally at the end, it started to click. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. You're doing this at this cool conference table, and then you're going over here and you're doing this. And I thought, wow, that's really unique. That's really interesting. That's awesome. Why aren't we going to play this more? And then we started playing it again and again, and I fell in love with it. I love Churchill.
Yes.
It's a 3-player game. We have played it a couple times with the bots. I'd rather find another person and just us play it.
And we've played it a couple times at
Buckeye Game Fest. And played it with Russ Wetley recently. He beat us, which I was pissed, because I think I'm pretty good at the game. But it's a fantastic game. And I think once we played this was my second Mark Herman game, because we did Empire of the Sun.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, damn, that guy is versatile. He's got a very imaginative look and feel about how things are done.
Oh yeah, this was a game where it was like it was challenging to learn because we'd never seen anything like it.
Well, it's a paradigm shift. You got to understand, why am I doing this again? Why am I arguing over, covert operations? But then you're like, oh, okay, I'm building my little satellites here. That's why I need them. Anyway, we played it. I loved it. I think we played this one probably a dozen times.
Yeah, we played this a lot.
And I've written more content on this one and really have enjoyed it. We don't have a video review on the blog of this
Hilariously.
one, or the YouTube channel, which is
we just need to
pretty
rectify
bad.
that.
We've written reviews and stuff, but I love this game. I think this game really... Empire of the Sun I loved. This game I started to fall more in love with Mark's style of imagining things and then putting it into a playable game. I love Churchill. I would play it at any time, at any place, with anyone.
I agree.
Period.
This, also, fun tidbit, is the only game I've ever purchased as a result of a banner ad on Board Game Geek.
There you go.
So,
I remember you said that.
Go figure.
Yeah.
And that was the only time advertising's ever helped me in my life.
But I'm so glad that we played that. I'm so glad that you brought it over.
Yeah.
Because I think it opened an entire new world of
I agree.
wargaming to me.
And this also launched the Great Statesman series.
Yeah.
Which
Pericles.
was kind of the sequel to that.
Versailles is part of it too, but it's more of a Euro game.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. So
But it's cool.
But Pericles shares some commonalities in its thinking with Churchill.
And its execution with the Senate and the way you try to get issues.
Yes,
A little different.
But how you debate in that and the
Totally
way that
different.
very different. Which was
Because it's
also
a different time of history.
But that was so cool as
Yeah.
well. They added a fourth player. You now
Yep.
debate within your faction as to how to prosecute your side of a war,
Yep.
rather than allies at a table. Just
Yeah.
a very different style. And to see that taken and put into something like Weimar, where there's you can influence opinions.
Yeah, similar style.
They've taken that, reduced it a little bit, and put it into this other game. And you're like, that's the influence of Mark Herman in a Euro game now.
Yeah.
And like you said, Versailles 1919.
And I have Versailles 1919 at home. It's more of a Euro style game.
Yes.
I don't want to describe it as that because there's a little bit more to it than that. But it's more of a game.
Yeah,
frankly.
So that was a
that's fine.
co-design with Jeff Engelstein, and that's a game where it's a similar type of thing where you're playing your cards to put out influence on issues that are being debated
That
to
you
be
score
put
victory points.
into or settled in your favor within that are going into the Versailles peace treaty, and so it's a game of hey. I want to put some stuff on this. Please don't go there, and if you don't, I'll settle this particular issue in your favor.
Yeah.
So it's this great little
back and
negotiation game, but the execution's, like you said, quite a different style.
Well, and you're trying to match symbols as well, so you're trying to...
well,
certain
set
symbols
collection
will
and
score more points for you, set collection. It's fun. We've played that a couple of times, 4-player, and really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So... it's a fun game. So the final game that we have tonight to talk about, probably my favorite Mark Herman design, and it's a Mark Herman Volko Ruhnke co-design, so it's not just Mark. And I think Mark would say Volko has had more to do with this, but I've read where he said that.
Sure.
I don't know that he ever said that to me. But Fire in the Lake coin series, this is volume 4. So before that was Andean Abyss, Cuba Libre, A Distant Plain, and then Fire in the Lake. Vietnam War, fantastic.
best coin game out there.
Probably the best interaction amongst the 4 factions of all the coin games, in my opinion.
Yeah, if it's not objectively the best, it's objectively my favorite.
Oh,
But I think it might be the best.
We have played this one. Actually, we've played it less than we've played Liberty or Death. But we've played Fire.
Not by much, though.
Not by much. But we've played this one.
True.
It
We played
is.
this a lot.
We've played Liberty or Death a lot. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, no,
man.
we did play that a lot.
This
too.
one, though, we've played 4-player multiple times.
Yes.
And that's the difference. Liberty or Death, we have not played 4-player that often.
Yeah, I think we played it a few times.
Yeah.
this one as many times as I can.
Yep. I love it. We played it at WBC. I would love to play it again at WBC or...
Yeah, this is a very classic Players Aid convention game.
Oh, no
we
doubt.
We will almost always have this with us, and if you ask nicely, we will
sit
play
down.
it.
Yeah, I mean, we played at WBC. We played a 6-turn scenario. I think it ended in turn 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But it was like a 5 or 6 hour
we played
game.
a long time.
I love it. I love the interaction between the 4 factions. You know, the NVA and the VC are working together, but they're not working together. Their victory conditions, the one thing I like about that one is they do share a victory condition, but they use it in different ways, and I like that. Both need bases, but I think the NVA also need control.
Yeah, they need
Right.
their own bases.
You're right. And they can steal the VC bases, which sucks.
And
but
it's
cool.
hard to do, though, too.
It is very hard to do.
If you can do it, it feels
Yeah.
good. And you're a douchebag, but
Yeah.
it feels good.
But then Arvin and US, I mean, the Arvin is trying to pilfer and siphon off resources.
Yes.
And it's so funny because the entire time we play that, I can see the Arvin player always trying to do that. And it ticks me off because they're more worried about the patronage than they are about anything else.
Yeah.
And as the US player, you've got to be tough on that. You
Yeah, oh,
can't allow it to happen.
You have to stamp it down.
A weak US player in that game will ruin the game faster than anything, I feel like.
That's probably not unfair.
Because they've got to drive so much of the action. But it's a fantastic game. I love it. We've played it multiple times 4-player. I will play it tomorrow if you wanted to. We've also played it a lot 2-player.
Yeah, I feel like also, of all the coin games, this one has... the factions are just so thematic with how they play.
Oh, yeah.
And how you play them.
Yeah.
You're like...
I think they all have some thematic,
yes,
but this one I feel is
this one
delicious.
Got that extra...
Yeah,
like,
it's really good. Yeah.
When you pull off those really like...
Oh, yeah.
Kind of real rude moments in the game
Yep.
where you're like...
Yeah.
oh...
Yeah, it's...
Plus, you can put on a great soundtrack and play this at home.
Oh, yeah.
That's also a nice fun part.
I've never played a game that I love more than Fire in the Lake. I just love it. So we also just got the expansion, Fall of Saigon.
Fall of Saigon, yep.
We've played that with Mark Herman and Dan Pancaldi.
Played that 4-player too.
We played it. I'm not sure Dan played it, but he was more interested in the Scotch. But it was a great time. That one really adds some very interesting mechanics to it.
Yeah, so it's a full sequel. So this game ends at the Paris Peace Accords, basically. And then in that game, you actually kind of resolve the Paris Peace Accords, and then you play like the collapse of South Vietnam, basically, afterwards.
Very different.
And things change.
But it's very cool.
Very curious.
Yeah. So I love Fire in the Lake.
Yeah.
I also love Mark Herman. I'm not gonna lie. I think Mark Herman's a great dude and a great designer.
He's always been very gracious to us.
Oh, no doubt.
We played Versailles with him when that was a prototype. We played Fall of Saigon with him when that was a prototype. He's always willing to sit down with us, and we appreciate designers who do that kind of thing. It makes our lives real easy. Plus, it's fun.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And you get to hear his old war stories from working at Victory Games and making all these. And he knew all of the guys in the industry, so you just get the great stories and the knowledge from him as well.
Yeah.
And so, he's designed so many games that are like 10s, right?
Yeah. This one's a 12.
And even if they weren't, they were ones that spawned games that became 10s. Like, some of his game designs are so influential. When you hear about like Ancients and Hex Encounter, you can't help but think of Great Battles of History, and every other Ancients game looks like a Great Battles of History game.
Sure.
CDGs were his kind of birth child.
I mean, he definitely has been a trailblazer and has really... a lot of people that I interview, other designers, a lot of them mention Mark Herman. A lot of them do card-driven games, and they all mention Mark because of the role he's had in, We the People and
bringing those to the fore and really galvanizing those,
fleshing out that system. So I like Mark. I enjoy his games and always look forward to what he has coming out.
his little Gettysburg game that came out in
That was a
C3R.
blast.
I got that on my shelf. We played that at WBC.
And
as
he's
well.
got his Rebel Fury game. I think it's coming out sometime this year. But it's American Civil War, 5 different battles. I think Chickamauga is one of them. He's also got Triumvir, which is the Caesar. I'm trying to remember the other actors, but it's getting late.
Yes, I know what you're talking about though.
It looks awesome. Just looks awesome.
Congress of Vienna. Is that what it is? No.
No. Congress of Vienna is another game based on Churchill.
Isn't
Triumvir's Roman.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I was thinking of something else.
Congress of Vienna is Napoleonic.
I think someone's making a game on that though.
What do you mean?
Isn't someone
Yes,
making
someone's making a game on it.
that's in
from
the
GMT.
Great Statesman series though?
I don't know if it's in the Great Statesman series, but
Oh, all right. I got the
it's-
wires crossed.
It's similar to that system.
I could have sworn it's...
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done an interview for it. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head.
Okay.
But yeah, Congress of Vienna is should be out like early next year.
I'm excited for that game. Anyway.
But
yeah.
Triumvir is the game that currently is under design by Mark with Rebel Fury.
Yes.
But it's Roman, you got Caesar, you got fill in the blank and fill in the blank. I just can't think of the names. And it's the Triumvir. It's the 3 of them fighting against each other for control of the Republic.
Yeah.
At that time.
And it's a...
Cassius, is that a name?
Maybe. It's a name.
Yeah.
His
sorry.
games are like...
You're laughing at me because it's like 12 o'clock.
They know.
I'm tired.
His games are like Insta-Backs and Insta-P500s for me, though.
Well, I mean, they're amazing.
Like-
I've never played a Mark Herman game that I don't like. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
There's ones I like more,
Sure.
but
But you always know you're getting something solid or something
Yeah.
that fits the bill that it's set out for.
yes.
So yeah, Mark Herman's games have been extremely influential, especially on modern wargaming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they also were back in the day, but there's a million of his games that we haven't even played, some I haven't
Sure.
heard of,
Yeah.
that have turned into other things.
Yep.
But you know, there's a reason that Empire of the Sun is consistently being reprinted. Fire and Lake consistently
so
being
good.
reprinted.
It's so good. The reason games are reprinted is because they sell well, and they sell well because they're good games.
Yes.
People hear, oh, that's a good game, I'm going to buy it.
Famously, people don't buy bad games.
No, they don't. And they see a game being played at a convention. How many people were rubbernecking Pericles and Fire in the Lake at WBC?
That was 2 of
Hundreds.
the most rubbernecked games
Yeah.
I think I may have ever played in.
And I would rubberneck them as well.
Absolutely.
Because I remember seeing some of those first Coin Series games on Twitter. I'm like, I got to play that. People were saying that. You could see in them, ooh, what's this, Pericles? Oh, I'm really excited and interested about it. Well, it's a 5-year-old game, but get it. Do yourself a favor.
But
Get
yeah,
it.
it's one of those 4-player games that no one can quite ever get to the table.
Yeah.
And when you're at a con and
You
we
can
had it
get
at
it
the
to the-
table, everyone's
get
like,
it to
oh,
the
I'm so
table."
jealous.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yeah.
and his games deliver. It's not just,
Yeah.
this looks great. When you're playing it, oh, mouth-watering.
Yeah. One final comment I want to have about Mark. It always makes me laugh, those few people that dislike his designs. It's almost as if they have a vendetta. I've read some of those very lengthy arguments, and Mark never argues, but some of those jackasses that get on Board Game Geek or other forums and will just say, well, this is stupid. This is why this is dumb. And it's like, that's your opinion, man. You don't like the game? Go play something else. But these guys spend hours fighting that out.
I don't know
Now,
if I've ever read any of
oh
this
my,
stuff.
I got to find one. I'll show it to you.
Sure.
But it's hilarious because I'm like, why are you spending so much time?
You could have played a game instead of typed that out.
But it's funny because there's a couple of them that, and Mark will tell you about those guys because he has regular conversations with them, and they always tell him why he's whack, and he always says, "I don't care. Everybody else likes it. We're going
That's
with
just
it."
like your opinion, man.
But you don't have good designers you don't have bad designers that people do that to.
Sure.
A bad designer, you just don't worry about it. You move on.
Yeah.
Mark's a great designer. He does great games. People are going to take pot shots. That's just the way it is. Anyway, we got to talk to Mark about that next time we see him because he has some great stories. I've read his recounting of some of those stories. They're fantastic. So anyway.
So, I hope that was maybe somewhat illuminating.
I hope it wasn't too much.
Maybe it inspired you to check out some of his games that you haven't played. He's obviously like a household name and a household favorite here at the Players Aid.
Yeah.
We've loved many of the games, or frankly all the games that we've played, and we'll play basically anything else that he designs and at least give it a shot. So
no doubt.
If you can get some of these big games to 4 players, get them together at conventions, you will not regret it.
And that's where a lot of these really shine. Pericles, Fire in the Lake. I mean, you got to get those 4 players. Get them, take them to a con, play them.
Yep.
That's what you got to do.
Yep.
Some of his
Well
other
worth
games,
it.
2-player games, that's what they're made for. So, France 44, that's a 2-player game. You know, you're going to...
I played it solo, and it also worked very well
but
solo.
what I'm saying, though, is get these big 4-player war games. They're so cool. Empire of the Sun, 2-player. We love that game.
Yeah, Pericles, Churchill, Fire in the Lake.
Yeah.
Get them together.
Yeah.
Get your friends together. You can have a great time.
Do yourself a favor. Get them, play them. Find someone that has them, play them.
Yes.
Do it. Do it.
So, thank you for sticking with us. If you've made it to the end of the video, good for you. That was extremely long.
It was very long.
You're very welcome.
Or my condola. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. So, if this video's still playing and your spouse has walked in and you're dead in your chair because this has been so long and the Grim Reaper's come,
You're like Bones.
my apologies. I'm very sorry that we've done this to
Yeah.
you. But we'll see you next time. Appreciate you very much for tuning in. I've been Alexander from PlayersAid.com.
And I'm Grant.